Hi, Corinne.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
Good, good. Well, I'm so delighted to have Corinne McDonald, my new intern for 2020, here. I'm in New York, and Corinne,
I'm
we're,
in Chicago.
we're in Chicago.
Mhm.
And this is a really nice tradition. We actually have interns over the years from friends of mine from college, and now the next generation, I'm having their daughters as my intern. And Corinne is a rock star. We just started together, and I'm so lucky to have her, and I'm learning a lot from her. So thank you, Corinne.
I can say the same. I'm so excited to be learning so much this fall. I'm interning with you until December, so it gives us a long time to go through some projects. I'm a senior at University of Illinois at Chicago, and I'm studying communications, and I'm just super excited about this internship.
Yeah, well, we're off to a great start. And this is a project that just kind of happened organically. Corinne and I were talking about all the things that we want to do over the next few months. And, it occurred to me, I said, oh, let's just interview some friends of Joyful Plate. And here we are, 6 months into the COVID experience. And one of the most emotional things that we're experiencing is eating and cooking at home. I mean, it doesn't get more emotional than that. And so I just interviewed 20 people on my end, my age group, a little bit more mature. And then Corinne reached out
Sure.
to her. How old were your friends?
I interviewed mostly like college students between ages of 18 and 24.
18 to 24, right. Okay. And most of mine were 40 plus, 40 to 60. And we asked a very simple question. What are your top three go-to foods during this COVID experience since March, eating at home? And this is, from the work that I've done, it's a really interesting time because prior to COVID, about 50% of the foods, whether you're working in an office or going to school, were eaten on the go. And so now we had to kind of shift and purchase plan and, stock our freezer and start eating at home. So, our respondents really enjoyed this assignment. I know on my end, did yours?
Yeah, all the participants, they really liked it, and it was really interesting for me to see how some of the kids my age were eating this quarantine,
Yeah.
and like notice how some of the trends like connected between the
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, and I think there are similarities and differences between our groups.
Mhm.
I'll tell you really briefly what I learned from my friends and the friends of Joyful Plate. Um, Big headline, and I loved it. I'm not surprised by it, but the big headline is coffee. Coffee, don't mess with my coffee. Make it black, make it dark, and more of it. And, as I talk to people, I think the reason why is, there's a monotony to this COVID experience. Like, even though we're not rushing out the door to, catch a train or get in the car to the office, we're waking up and we need to kind of get going. We need something to get going and we need something to look forward to. And so, coffee, I know I can speak personally, coffee's my friend. And it was for a lot of other people too. So we talked about that in the blog, but that was a big headline. Creamy comfort, you'd expect, you're at home and it's difficult, so you want to treat yourself. So, I heard a lot about ice cream, Jenny's gooey butter cake, or, you know, um, Daisy sour cream for popping a hot potato in the microwave oven. All those, nice, warm, comforting. There's a lot of talk, of course, in the news about, bread baking, and, the kitchen as a safe place. But, I thought the creamy foods was interesting. And then movie night, everyone's binging on Netflix. Having those kind of snack foods were essential, the hand to mouth feeling. And then what else? Oh, spicing things up. So we need, we're cooking in the kitchen, and it's helpful sometimes to have some shortcuts. So Tabasco sauce came up, curry sauces, just those flavor boosters to get you going. So those are some of the highlights from the a bit older Gen. What am I? I'm not a millennial. Am I Gen X? I don't know.
Yeah, I think,
This is your next assignment to tell me what I am.
Yeah, I actually did talk about generations in my
I'm not
analysis.
Boomer. I'm just going to call that out. Not boomer, but I'm in that in between.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, good. So I'm going to turn it over now. You're not millennial either, are you?
No, I'm actually Gen Z.
Gen Z,
Yeah.
right.
So
Okay.
I'm not sure what years that is, but I think Gen Z and millennials are pretty similar in their tendencies anyway. So
Yes. Okay. Well, that's our next assignment.
yeah.
Okay. So passing the baton, Corinne, over to you. Just at a high level, on internships, I always ask to give the elevator pitch. So you're talking to CEO of one of my client companies. What would you tell them in the big picture? And then we're going to get a little bit more detailed. What were the emotions they learned?
Yeah. So I organized all of my responses, and I kind of just tried to analyze the things that I saw repeated the most, and under like broad food categories. So for like filling foods like crunchy snacks or dips, things that they added on to their snacks to make them filling. People were nervous about gaining weight in quarantine because they didn't have access to gyms or as much outdoor space or even a reason to get themselves out of the house. So focusing on their diet and improving their diet with some of these filling foods almost helped them to feel like they had some kind of control over the situation, especially when quarantine was early on and everything was shut down. People use the time to focus a lot on their nutrition.
That's good news.
So that was a really...
And remind me, within your group, would you say it was mostly women and some men?
Yeah, so I did mostly talk to women who are in college.
Yeah.
I did speak to a few men. They said some similar things, but I feel like generally for women, just were more health conscious and things like that. And the potential for weight gain in the beginning of quarantine was just really high. So people were trying to get ahead of the curve and change their eating habits.
Back in the day when I was in college, we always worried about the freshman 15.
Yeah, exactly. Freshman 15 is the fear that looms over everybody.
So they talked about the COVID 15,
yeah, exactly.
The COVID 10, that was in the headlines. Yeah. But, it's interesting. For whatever reason, I don't know if we're just a little bit more lax as we get older. I don't know if it's like my friend group, but I didn't hear that too much. I didn't hear that too much with the older people. So, your habits
definitely was
healthier, younger.
Exactly. Yeah. And then just a little bit different on the flip side, I talked about what we call cheat foods. Most people my age typically call these cheat foods, like foods that they feel guilty maybe eating, but it's something that they really enjoy. So almost everybody who I interviewed had at least one cheat food in there. And overall, most people just love the feeling of relief that it brought. After like long days or even like those quarantine movie nights that you were talking about, just like a little indulgence food or a cheat food just made them feel a lot more relieved.
So and sense of relief. And were there any other, like cheat has a negative connotation, so are there any other positive words that you could think of that?
Yeah, I just said indulgence. I like the word indulgence for this group almost because it's things that make people really happy and they let themselves enjoy the food while they have it, but they know that they can't eat it for every meal.
And we're going to talk about this a lot on the internship, but that's exactly why I started Joyful Plate. I don't think I ever told you that before, but we believe that that food is essential to life, and we celebrate the joy that good food brings to our lives every day. And we need balance. So obviously we can't be eating those indulgent foods all the time, but it's okay to have them and to enjoy them, but balance it, of course, with mostly foods that are good to fuel your body and nutrition. So on that note, tell me, and I think my clients would be really interested in the foods that your age group are eating every day, and also tell me at the beginning where they're buying these foods.
Yeah, so many of the participants that I talked to were still on college campuses during quarantine or have gone back to college campuses.
Right.
Many are from the East Coast, but there's a few that have jobs in some other cities. But overall, a lot of them Instacarted or use the Amazon Prime shipping service, especially those who are living in a city. But for those who did not use that service, I noticed that many were saying that they shopped at Whole Foods or Trader Joe's. And personally, I did during that time too, because they had extra precautions, and they still take extra precautions with the sanitation of their stores and just with the amount of people. So it made me feel a little bit better about going to shop there if I wasn't going to order groceries.
Right. Okay.
But just in general,
Go ahead.
like for what I learned, just including the emotions and everything else, portability is a huge thing, and just like sustaining their hunger as long as possible. So that's where the snack bars, the nuts, the granola, and hummus play a big part, specifically hummus. That is a great substitute that a lot of people listed, because they can eat those snack foods that they like pretzels or foods like that. But if they dip it in hummus, it adds a nutritious aspect to it. And also it makes it much more filling. So instead of just eating vegetables, they'll dip it in hummus and make it more of a snack.
Filling is really important to college kids, right? And tell me a little bit more about that emotion. You're on your own for maybe the first time away from your parents' house. You need to buy your own groceries. You need to get through the day. Just tell me about that feeling of filling your body.
Yeah. So for me, it's hard to focus or do work if I don't have a full stomach, or if I don't feel full. But also parts of it reminds me of being home, because when I'm home, my mom is always cooking for me and constantly
Your
making
mom's a
sure
really good cook.
constantly making sure I'm full.
Yeah.
So I feel like that feeling is it almost equates to comfortness, because you just feel like content with how you're feeling, and hunger isn't something that's bothering you. So especially for college students, even though we're not necessarily going to study sessions or going to in-class person, in class, like having class in person, we're still having busy schedules of Zoom meetings and just getting assignments done, and eating a snack that will fill you up in one sitting rather than having to constantly snack all day sort of takes one extra thing off of our plate to worry about almost.
Right.
So I think that's where
that's important. That's really, really important. I mean, as I think about your experience, and I've been watching, a lot of my peers, kids who are your age, your level of stress, or your days are absolutely as filled as my day as a executive, if not more. So we're kind of all in this together. Age is irrelevant. And
yeah, exactly. I definitely mentioned how the universities have very high expectations for their students now. And even just back to the generational thing, I think the trends in Gen Z and millennials are that the stereotype is we're always going, and always on the run.
Right.
So I think that's sort of tied into why these foods are so important. Just to take one less thing off our plate, to keep ourselves satisfied and feeling content
Mhm.
can focus on our work, and just the connection between what you eat and how it fuels your brain. You constantly need that throughout the day. So if you can have one good snack to hold you over between meals, that's more beneficial than.
I'm
Uh,
writing down 2 words, brain food. That's big.
mhm.
We need to go back to that on another project. That's very interesting.
Yeah, we do.
Um, so we talked about nourishing our bodies, feeling full, cheat days. Tell me about the water. I thought it was so interesting. You said, I get so bored with water. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So I had a surprising amount of people responding with their essentials as being one of these like low cal drinks, whether it be kombucha or coconut water or
Mhm.
even like a diet iced tea. I actually didn't list that as one of my 3 foods, but once I started to see that, I started to realize that like whenever I'm in the grocery store, I'll pick up a kombucha.
Mhm.
Or if I ever am out and I'm thirsty, I'll pick up a kombucha. Specifically for that drink, I just like how it makes me feel. It makes me feel more hydrated. The seltzer sort of makes my stomach feel a little bit more full.
Mhm.
So I'm not just like bored eating when I'm in quarantine or sitting at home. I think the seltzer drinks or even like the sweet low calorie drinks are sort of good for that when you're studying and you don't want to keep snacking,
Mhm.
um, but you want to just have your stomach feel full. And then things like coconut water and even the other drinks I was just talking about, they're great ways to incentivize yourself to drink more fluids,
Mhm.
because when you're sitting at home all day and you're not leaving, it is sort of hard to remember to keep filling up your water and to even drink water because like I'll get so involved in a task that I'll just forget about everything else.
Yeah.
So these low calorie drinks were great ways for people to switch up what they were drinking, and hydrate themselves more and just focus a little bit more on nutrition. So
Yeah.
I think it helped a lot of areas, and especially when you're just sitting inside all day, those are great substitutions for water.
Yeah, I just wrote down 3 other words, switch it up. That's really interesting because it's not only about um, getting more water, getting more fluids, but it's also just having a little bit of variety,
Hmm.
changing your mood. Um,
Yeah,
and that was a big headline, I think, for the adults is like, this is a moody time. We're all humans. We're all it's funny when we were trying to set this up before, right? Both of you and I are remote right now, so we're trying to get the right Wi-Fi. And what did I say to you? That
yeah,
we're Zoom humans.
yeah,
It happens. So
yeah,
we're all going through this experience, just trying to adapt. And so there are a lot of moves involved, and switching it up is just kind of important to keeping us alert, keeping us engaged and
yeah,
happy. Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, just to wrap up, is there anything else that you found either surprising in this from all of the research that you analyzed, or did it confirm what you thought? Anything you want to share?
Well, I think it confirmed what I thought and what I know almost. A lot of the things the responses I got were similar to tendencies that I do, foods that I eat,
Mhm.
kind of the similar food groups. I think this is going to be interesting though for people in your age group or the older target to sort of see from an outside perspective, because I almost feel like kids my age get the like general label that we're not involved in health and we don't care about our health because we're college students. But I
Mhm.
feel like it's more just finding foods and snacks that like nourish us, but is also portable, or it fills us up enough and it satisfies us to get through the day. So I think people are just going to be surprised at how much we've taken advantage of this time during quarantine to focus on our nutrition, but also include the foods that make us happy.
Oh, great, great. Well, I mean, it's so important. We need to stay healthy during this time. That's overall,
Mhm.
the most important thing, stay healthy, stay happy. I can't imagine a better way to wrap up for
Right.
Joyful Plate for our dream team, Michelle and Corinne.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for this. And I'm really looking forward to having you on board for the next couple months. Lucky me. And here's to all that's ahead. Thanks, Corinne. And good luck this semester, too.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.